Hi there everybody and welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Volvo V40 2019. This is a petrol T2 engine and I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter in it. I'm also going to check the antifreeze percentage and also the level. Just going to check the level of the antifreeze and also going to top up some screen wash fluid. So I'm just going to start by saying I've got the oil filter here. This is the oil filter I'm going to be using for this car. It is a paper filter, one of these, and also let's have a look at what the manual says regarding the oil capacity for this engine. So we have the V40 here and the different engine types, engine codes there for the different, so T2, T3, T4, T5, and then the D2, 3 and 4. I have a T2, I don't know which one, to be honest. I didn't look. You would have to really check your logbook, but all of these engines take 5.6 liters approximately, including an oil filter change. So 5.6 liters, and also it's recommended to use Castrol Edge Professional V0W20 or this other one they have here, VCC RBS 0-2AE 0W20. So, and then obviously you have the other ones, but I'm gonna be using 0W20. It's just not gonna be Castrol Edge this time around, but it's 5.6 liters as shown there in the manual. So with that done, I'm gonna start by topping up some screen wash fluid that goes in here, this blue cover with a little drawing of the windscreen and a little water coming out there. And I'm gonna be using this screen wash fluid here. I usually buy it concentrated and mix it myself. It works out a bit cheaper. However, if you're just topping up yours, you can buy concentrated and mix it yourself, or you can buy ready mix and just pour it straight in there. So let's try not to pour it everywhere. Okay, that's it. I wouldn't recommend just putting water in there because during the winter the water just freezes and it doesn't come out your jets. So just put the proper stuff in there. It's cheap enough. So also don't mix water with washing up liquid. It also freezes and it just comes out, it doesn't come out properly. It makes a mess of your windscreen. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to checking the coolant. Coolant for this car is here. You can clearly see the color green there. We have a level just on the side there. You can see the max. It says max there. So is this line here that is the max basically. So this is pretty much at the max, just there. So I'm happy with the level, but I'm also going to check the percentage of antifreeze just to make sure that it's at a good level and it's not going to freeze in the winter. And for that purpose, I'm going to use this little gadget here that measures that percentage. Also, this little gadget allows you to check color of the coolant and whether it's contaminated or not. It looks quite clean in there to me, and it obviously looks green, and now it's showing around -20. So temperature will have to be around -20 for this liquid to freeze. So I'm happy with that. And sometimes you have to wait a little bit for it to settle. So it's now sort of settling at around -34, which is more or less what I was expecting, really. Just check that again. Sometimes if you don't suck enough water in here, it doesn't measure properly, but that's because my little tool here is a bit old now. However, you can see we're around the now -25 there and whatnot. So that there is a good percentage. We don't need to do anything about that. So level is good, percentage of antifreeze is good. Happy days. Can put that cover back until it locks. Now we can concentrate on the oil and the oil filter. So I'm gonna start by opening the oil filler cap here. Just gonna leave it there. There's no dipstick on this car, so normally I would pull the dipstick as well if there was one, but there isn't. So now I'm gonna get the car up, drain the oil, change the filter. So looking at the car from underneath, we have this cover here. You need to remove all the T30 screws that are holding the cover in place. They are T30, I think I said that, T30 Torx. So I've already removed most of them except this one here. I'm trying to just take out, and then we can get the cover down, which shall reveal the sump. Okay, so there is quite a few of those Torx screws to remove, actually all of these. So I have to get them all in order to get this out. Now we have access to the filter here and the sump plug bolt, which is sitting just here. So by the way, before I started the job, I warm up, I got the car to a normal running temperature, so just to allow the oil to come out a little bit easier. Otherwise it comes out a little bit slower. So anyway, I'm gonna get an oil pan and get ready to open these things. Okay, so I'm gonna use a 17mm socket here for the sump plug bolt, and we're gonna need something like this to take the oil filter cover out. And this is the size of this is a S40 S80, or it says here 8616. So this goes by like a oil filter wrench or something like that. If you look on Google, Volvo V40 oil filter wrench or oil filter remover tool, you'll find something like this. So let's crack the sump plug bolt open. Okay, and have your oil pan underneath ready. And just remember, if the engine's been running a while, that this oil can be very hot as well, so just don't burn yourself. almost had a little disaster there, but luckily I got it on time, so no oil went on the floor. Anyway, that can come out now, all 5.6 liters, and just gonna let that drain, and then we're gonna tackle the filter. Okay, so before I remove the oil filter housing, here you can, with an Allen key, you can open the center here and drain the oil from it before you remove the whole thing. That is an Allen, I think it's a size 5. Let's just check. Nope, it's a, what do I have here? I have a 6. So Allen key size 6. If you open that, you'll be able to drain the oil from the housing. However, I just went ahead and opened this with a tool and drained it that way. But you can, if you want to avoid having a mess, then drain it from there first, then you can take that out. So anyway, I just like I said, I just did it. I just removed this without that, removing that. Okay, so while that is draining, we can open the oil filter house in there. Make sure your oil pan is sitting underneath, because you will get some oil coming out of there as well. And this wrench doesn't exactly fit very flush with that, but I think it's good enough to remove that housing there. Coming out now. Take that out. Definitely gonna get oil coming out of here. So just drain it in there. So I'm just gonna put it here, let it drain for a little while. And so while this is just finishing draining, we can prepare our sun plug bolt. So I got a new washer here. It's just like I had one that size. It's quite a large one. This is the old one. It's not particularly bad. If I had to, I would have reused this, to be honest. If I didn't have one, it's not the end of the world, but you do have to change it at some point, because then they do get squashed a little bit, and if you use it over and over, it gets squashed, then you might start getting a leak from here. So anyway, I have a new one, and also we have some new O-rings to fit in our filter. So I'm just gonna wait for it to drain a little bit, and then we'll do that. All right, so here's our filter. If you pull it out of there, you might feel a little resistance when pulling this out. It's just that I already pulled it out, so I can do it with one hand, but it just plugs in there basically. And we want to change the O-ring here. And it looks like okay, so this is one of the gaskets we want to replace. Now you will have two gaskets here, one little one and one big one. The little one, it's for the, if you remove the the Allen bolt to drain the oil from this housing, then I think there is an O-ring there. Well, there should be an O-ring there that you will most likely have to replace. So just go ahead and replace that. But I didn't remove that, so I'm not going to be replacing the little one. I'm just going to be changing the big one. So goes without saying, that O-ring just goes around that ring there. So I'm just going to fit it now. Okay, I got my O-ring in there, and also I put some oil, or I actually put some grease, multi-purpose grease around the O-ring. You can use a bit of oil as well, just to lubricate it. Just so when we put this back on, that O-ring can slide nicely rather than getting caught and possibly getting damaged, and then you have a leak. So anyway, I always do it that way, and it works pretty well. Now we have our filter. Just push it in there and it will clip in there. And that is that. So now we are ready to fit this in here. And you will need the tool to tighten this, but it says 25 Newton meters, and that is not a lot of force. So if you wanted to use a torque wrench, then you can do so to make sure you get the correct torque. I'm not using a torque wrench, but pretty much do this all the time, so you get sort of the hang of it after a while. Right, that is done. And our sun plug bolt can go back on there as well. And again, these get torqued to up to 30 Newton meters. It depends on the car, but this is quite a big bolt, 19 mil. So I would think it goes up to most likely up to 30 Newton meters. So again, if you have a torque wrench, use it. And you can find all torque settings online as well, by the way. So no excuses. No excuses for not doing that to the correct torque. You don't, and not damaging. Basically, the idea is not to damage anything. So if you're not familiar with doing these things, obviously it can be quite a new thing, so it's better to use the correct torquing settings, and then you're safer. Right, now I'm just going to rinse the area here with a bit of brake cleaner here as well. Make sure everything is nice, clean and dry, because that way we know if we have a leak next year, we know it's not from here. And if you do have a leak from here next year, then you know it's from here because you cleaned it. So now I'm gonna put the cover back on, and all is left to do is to top up some oil. Time to top up some oil. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put my oil in there. Don't need to film myself. So this is the one I'm using, 0W20 motor quip, but as you saw, you should perhaps use Castrol. This is 0W30, but I haven't got enough of that, so which is why I'm going to be using the other one. Anyway, I'm going to pour the oil in there, 5.6 liters, and then I'll come back to it. Okay, so I just measured on this can the last 0.6, so I got 5 liters in there, and this will be 0.6 that needs to go in there. You need to pour it slowly. Because it can overflow in there. So anyway, we have our 5.6 liters in there, and we can now close the oil filler cap here. And we are going to start the car. Just make sure everything is okay. Since we don't have a dipstick, we would have to check. So car starts fine, sounds okay, and I think the warning triangle will be there for the bonnet to be open. So I have that message there, book time for maintenance, because it's gonna be due in a few days. But we can also, so you can check, not that menu, but if you go to this menu here, we can check the due service in the car. So it says, oh, it says 1 month to service. So on the next video I'm going to reset that, since we have carried out the service, so I have the message, door open, bonnet open, and that's why I have, and the book time for maintenance at the moment. So that's why I have the triangle there. Actually, you can also check the oil level. So the triangle is gone because I just closed the bonnet and the door here. The oil level, to check the oil level, the car needs to be off. So you can go to that menu again, basically by pressing the OK button here on the side, this one. You can flicker to these menus, and then with this little wheel here, we can go to where it says oil level. If you press OK, it's not gonna let you do it if the car is running. So let's switch off the car, and we'll just get on. I just want to get the ignition on, so press and hold that start switch. The ignition comes on, and then we can go to checking the oil level there. So press OK, and it says oil level OK. It's at the max, because I just serviced the car, so it should be technically around the max. And well, now that's pretty much it, really. So as far as this goes, changing the oil and the oil filter, checking the coolant, taking out the screen water fluid, this is pretty much it. So I hope the video helps. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.